Hello, YouTube. It's your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, coming at you again with another YouTube video. And the title of this video is called Passport Bros. These foreign women are unhappy in their situation. You are making these foreign women more unhappy. And the way this video came about was I was watching several different videos, um, a, a lot of videos of some of the naysayers. And one of the main talking points that always comes up is that these women in these other countries, that they're in servitude, that they're pretty much slaves, they're unhappy in their countries, they're only serving these men because they have no other choice. And basically, if they had lived in the United States, they would be much, much happier in these Western countries than they would in their own country. And so I wanted to take the time today to kind of debunk this talking point, and I also wanted to share with you some articles. Usually, I display a little bit of eye candy for inspiration, but this time I thought it was very fitting to go ahead and share some of the articles that I've been paying attention to kind of debunk this whole talking point. So, with that being said, let me get into it. So, anyway, this is a website called World Population Review, and basically has statistics on various different countries and that kind of thing. So this article in particular is more so talking about self-deletion and that kind of thing. And I wanted to bring a few things to your attention. So first off, top 10 countries in 2019. Within this chart here, within this list here, you don't see many of the countries that the Passport Bros even, go to. Now, the only exceptions that you really hear about is mainly, okay, you might hear about some people going here and there to South Korea, and this is a country in South America, but you rarely hear about most Passport Bros traveling here. We're generally going to Brazil. We're generally going to um, Colombia, the Philippines, that kind of thing. So fair is fair, and I will say in here you only have maybe a few countries. I have heard about a few guys trying to come to South America, but here's the thing: percentage wise, when I show you the list of the deletion rates amongst countries, you're going to notice that the ones generally that have the highest tend to be the ones in the West, and they tend to be Western countries, and they tend to be European countries as well. And that's very interesting because most of the European countries that most people do travel to in Eastern Europe, these countries are not necessarily listed as third world countries, such as Ukraine, Belarus, or even Russia. Russia is part of BRICS, which is like economies that are up and coming. But either way, um, I wanted to bring this to your attention, and also keep in mind that uh, when they did this, they were looking at you know overall they were trying to say that self deletion a lot of times is coming from mental illness or like doctor assistant suicide, but they also take into account like poor education, financial struggles, overall life satisfaction. So they didn't really differentiate, but overall we have to go off the data that we're given. So based upon that, um let's go a little bit deeper. So now that I said that, now this might be something they might want to look at and say, hey, see, you're going down to these countries, you're making these women unhappy in Guyana, Russia, South America, so forth. But let's go down and see which countries that the Passport Bros generally go to. Now keep in mind, when we talk about percentage of Passport Bros, and I told you here, these are not hot spots for Passport Bros. Russia, South America, South Africa, Guyana, even South Korea. I heard about a few brothers going there. These are not generally the hot spots. Now, what's going to be interesting is I want to show you something. So let's look at the countries with the lowest suicide rate. Let's go down to there. Boom. Look at the Philippines. On my list of top 10 countries, I list the Philippines. You see all types of videos about Passport Bros going to the Philippines. But look at it. It has one of the lowest suicide rates in the world. And this is primarily where a lot of the men who are in the army are going to. A lot of men in their 50s, 60s, 70s that are dating women in their 20s and 30s and 40s. This is where they're going. We saw a few guys recently in their 70s dating Filipinas in their 20s. There was a guy on 90 Day Fiance. The guy was about 58. He was dating a woman, a woman that was 19, and and a lot of times they try to say we're going over there, we're making these women unhappy, they're slaves. But look at the self deletion rate, one of the lowest in the whole world, even lower than the United States. Look what's next, Honduras. Think about all the people in Honduras, Guatemala, that whole section there, where these people are destitute, economically deprived. Both, not just the women, but even the men have zero options. And look at their self deletion rate. Look what's next, Venezuela. We have completely destabilized that country. But look at the suicide rates, very very low. Oh, and plus I forgot to mention this as well. This is what I remember. I told you I was going to get into it. Keep in mind that even with these countries here that the passport bros go to, keep in mind that they didn't make a distinction between the women and the men. They combined them both. And I'm going to get into that. When we go down to the whole list, I want you to look at this and I want you to see what countries, when they list them amongst men and women, I want to show you the countries amongst women that have the highest suicide rates. You're going to be surprised. So let's go down and let's look at this. Oh, and okay, and I'm going to get into this as well. I'll come back to this section here. Because I actually want to touch on the self deletion in Sweden, also self deletion in China, which is very, very interesting. Um, for example, yeah, I'm going to get back to Sweden as well, but uh, I want you to read. Well, we'll stop here. Okay, so first off, look at China. It said self deletion is the fifth leading cause of death, and one of the main reasons for this is let's read this here. Let's go through this. Um, in contrast with many Western countries in which men are more likely to self delete, most self deletion victims in China are women. China's economic boom has led to the greater independence for women who are now much more able to get divorced as a means of dealing with domestic violence. However, the strain of divorce means that they must work long hours while raising their children, often without family support that the culture has traditionally. Think about that. All these women talking about how much more better it would be in these countries where you have feminism. Look what it said. Without family support that the culture has traditionally relied on in the past. When women show the strain of their stressful lives and are admitted to a hospital for psychiatric care, they are likely to be discharged much sooner than their male counterparts. They feel that they need to return to their jobs and family as quickly as possible. Could have been evaded if they found a decent guy. This is a whole nother subject. Even if they are not ready to do so. Additionally, many insurances do not cover hospital stays in cases of self deletion. These strains have exacerbated self deletion amongst Chinese women. People in rural areas of China are 5 times more likely to self delete than people in these cities. This notion may be attributed to a lack of mental care, the stigma associated with mental illness, poverty, and poor education. However, exact statistics are hard to come by because the government has carried out a few to no epidemiological studies on self deletion. Most self deletion attempts in China are carried out with pesticide or the poison. Now, that's very interesting because, with China's economy booming, feminism is growing there, you would think that for women at least, it should be lower, right? Because, when their counterparts, such as the Philippines, keep in mind, a lot of the guys from China, they go down to the Philippines to get their wives. And in many cases, I'm sure you heard of the fact that they kind of look at the Philippines as being beneath them. They kind of look down on the Filipinas, the Filipinos. But yet and still, the women in those countries seem to do less self-deletion than the women in China, where the economy is booming and they now can get divorced. They have much more freedom. And in fact, I believe that the men outnumber the women there. which means they have lots and lots of options. They can have their a la carte man. They can have one Chinese man who carries their groceries, another one that blows out their back, another one that drives them around town. And in spite of all that, look at all the strain on them. So will these women really be happier in a Western country or a up and coming country or a first world country? So let's go further. Now this is the chart I wanted to tell you about. So now remember this was the top 10 that was above. Now they got them listed male, female rates. But look, but after that top 10 that I showed you, look what starts to happen. Ukraine, Belarus, there's one Western, Latvia, Slovenia, Belgium, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Hungary, Croatia, and here is the United States. Notice all these countries after that top 10, majority of them, with the exception of Uruguay, another South American countries that passport bros do not travel to en masse. We do not intervene in that country. You will rarely see any passport bro videos about Uruguay and South America. Notice that none of these countries are countries that the passport bros go to in South America. So we have no large population of us going there. Yet and still, with the least amount of passport bros there, those countries tend to have a higher self deletion rate. And notice that most of these countries here, after above the United States, are European countries, which would be considered a second world countries, not third world. So you notice a lot of third world countries, they don't have this high self deletion rate and they cater their men there. So again, would they really be happier in a first world country or a second world country or a country where they have, where there's more independence and there's more opportunity for divorce? Would they really be happier there? Are we really causing them to be unhappy? Are we driving this? Noticing again that these are countries that passport bros rarely travel to. Are we causing that? It seems that if they were here with us, with you, in these countries, they wouldn't necessarily be, any happier. They wouldn't necessarily be any happier. Consider there's 250 countries. Now, let's go down this list and let's see what has lower self deletion rates than the United States. Look at Cuba with all the protests there. They have a food shortage. You see, like there's incredible poverty there, but in spite of that, in spite of the fact that the feminist movement is not as big there, still has look at that, a lower self deletion rate. Let's see what's even lower. And especially where is it at? Where is it at? Where is here's China. China has a lower rate as well. Even with I believe there was an article in which a guy pretty much domestic violence is a little bit higher there. And again, we do not approve of this, but it just shows you that spider women have so much independence and resources in the United States. In comparison to these other countries, even Costa Rica, this is a hot spot for passport bros. Look at the self deletion rate. 7.5 versus 2. Overall 8.1. Even China has a less one. Has less. Now let's go down even further. Here's some countries that we travel to. Here's Ecuador coming up, 3.6. Now here we go. Here's Brazil. Remember, Brazil is the place that all the passport bros. Several videos about guys traveling there. It's a hotspot for passport bros. Very small deletion rate. El Salvador, there's actually a culture of femicide there. In spite of there being femicide there, look at the rate for females. Very low, very low. Without all these other policies, these family divorce courts taking, destroying men's lives. Look how small that is. And let me just go ahead and just go down to the bottom because I want to get to another point. Even Greece, which has collapsed, 1.9. Here's another hotspot, Cambodia, 2.8. Let's go down. Even Afghanistan, 3.6. Here's Colombia, my favorite, 1.8 to 7.5. 1.8 to 7.5. And let's go down to the bottom. Let's see what else we got at the bottom. And here we go, back in our Peru, Panama, Look at that. Look at that. Philippines and Venezuela and Honduras. Look how low on the totem pole they are out of 250 countries. Indonesia. Look at that. So would they really be, do we really make them unhappy? These are all hot spots that the passport bros to go to. We go to Philippines all the time. We in Peru all the time. We in Panama all the time. We got some man going down in Honduras. I showed you Colombia. Are we really making them more unhappy? Or they, would they really be happy in the United States with all your with all this independence and all this strong independent culture? Seems to me that, it's not necessarily true. Now, let's do this. Because I want to drive it home even more. So let's look at now. There is a article that says that's a happiest country in the world article, and when they did this article, the way they came about this is they looked at factors such as here it is right here. They used GDP, each country's GDP, how much welfare they have, life expectancy, freedom to make your own choice, generosity of the population, and perceptions of internal and external corruption levels to put together this list of the happiest countries in the world. Notice that it doesn't talk anything about divorce. It doesn't talk anything about the relationships between men and women, dating options. Doesn't talk about any of that. It just looked at external factors such as your life expectancy, welfare, GDP, freedom to make your own life choices, pretty much like government corruption, that kind of thing. It looked at more as that as a barometer to tell which countries are the happiest. And I want you to look at who they listed as the happiest countries in the world. They said Denmark, Switzerland, Iceland, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden. And I want you to see who they also listed in at least the top 20 on that list. Look where we're at. United States, the 19th happiest country in the whole world. Look at all these countries that they say are the happiest. Notice that they're all Western powers. They're all major Western powers where a lot of the passport bros are fleeing and trying to get away from. Do any of you guys feel that that the United States is one of the happiest countries in the world? That we're one of the happiest countries in the world? Also, keep in mind that Costa Rica, a hotspot for passport bros, is also included in this list. But nevertheless, majority of these are all Western countries where men in Sweden, and in fact, wasn't Sweden the country where the governor there was blocking men from bringing in Thai wives? Why are the men from the seventh happiest country in the world marrying women from Thailand and bringing them here? But I thought everybody was so happy there. I thought the women were so happy there. Why would they bring these? Why would they leave their happy women to go find unhappy women? I just thought that if we bring the unhappy women here, I just it doesn't make sense to me. We just these countries are all listed as happy countries, but many of them, especially Denmark, especially Sweden, have had a very high self deletion rate. And that's because when they made this, they didn't consider. They're not looking at how people are feeling as far as they look at like their psychology, um, like their confidence level, their dating options, their marriages. They're not looking at it. They're just looking at external factors such as the country's GDP. Country's GDP. Is there corruption in the country? Are you able to have lots of freedom, such as abortion, those kind of things, like all these different factors. But they're not really looking at it as far as, do you have friends? Do you have a significant other? Do you have kids? What is your marriage like? They're not looking at these things when they made it. So just think about that. This is supposed to be the happiest countries in the world, but you have a large amount of men saying that they don't want to even live in the United States. They actually want to go somewhere else. Now, to be fair, obviously I've made a good living in the United States, and if I was any other country outside of these Western countries, it would be a struggle. But that's not just say that just because you're in the United States and you're making money that you're happy. Think about recently the Green Ranger just deleted himself. He had very famous, lots of status. I believe something about his there was some kind of custody battle or something like that, as I believe. Anyone who knows for sure can correct me in the comments, and he wound up self-deleting himself. But he's in one of the 19th happiest countries in the world. Why would he do that? He wasn't happy with his situation. So as we know, as the saying goes, money doesn't bring, happiness. Now it does bring comfort. I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't make you more comfortable, but that's not just say that just because a woman is in one of these countries that she's necessarily going to be happy. And in fact, remember this: Denmark is listed as the second happiest countries. But look at this article. Look at this article here. One of the happiest countries in the world has one of the highest divorce rates. And what country is that? Denmark, the second country with the second happiness rate, has the highest divorce rate in Western Europe. Nearly half of all marriages end in divorce. One parenthesis is the fact that splitting up in Denmark is a relatively seamless process. You pay $60, you're divorced. Now, to be fair, they're trying to change that now, where, as you can see, you requires couples with kids to go through a 3-week reflection period and get free counseling before they get a divorce. But it just goes to show you that, again, artists, when when they made this whole little article about being the happiest country in the world, really is really that happy. What metrics did you really use? And let's look at another one. Let's look at, where is Sweden on this list? Happiest countries in the world. Where's Sweden? Here's Sweden. Supposed to be the seventh happiest country in the world. And let's go back above. I wanted to read the section to you. Let's read about what's going on in Sweden. Sweden had a 14.7 self-deletion per 100,000 people. Historically, Sweden has had a high self-deletion rate, with the most self-deletions in the developed world during the 1960s. This may have been due in part to cultural attitudes regarding self-deletion and long dark winters. So they're blaming the winters for this high deletion rate. They're saying that it causes a thing called seasonal affective disorder, a form of depression, which has been correlated with a high self-deletion rate. And yeah, so that's that. So that being said, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. But, where was another one? Oh, here's one more that's interesting. Japan, one of the most, out of like the Eastern countries, one of the richest. So they're supposed to be, one of the richer countries in Asia. And that's read about what is going on with their self-deletion rate. Japan's total numbers placed is significantly outside the top 10, but self-deletion is nonetheless a serious concern there. Self-deletion is a leading cause of death in men between 20 and 44 and women between ages of 15 to 34. The government has been active in intervention to decrease the risk of self-deletion, particularly amongst the vulnerable populations. Japanese men are twice as likely to commit self-deletion as their female counterparts, particularly after a divorce. Of particular concern is the self-deletion amongst men who have recently lost their jobs and no longer able to provide for their families. People are expected to stay married to a single person and stay on a single job for their entire lives. And the pressure of this expectation may make a divorce or job loss feel like a failure. Once again, once again, just, you know, showing you that, once again, just having a bunch of money, being in a country with lots of welfare, that's not necessarily going to make you happy. So once again, I'm going to end it with this. So can you really say that these women are suffering in their own country? They don't want to cook for their men. They don't want to cater for their men. They're so unhappy. But you just saw the statistics before you. You just saw before you that in spite of all the stuff, all the poverty going on in those countries, the women there tend to be happier than they do in these Western countries. I just showed it before you. I just proved it to you, and I just showed you that, um, pretty much I've just debunked that whole argument about the women in these countries are so unhappy. And I'm going to end with a view of, once again, where is Philippines on this list at the bottom of 250 countries. The main country that a lot of passport bros go to and that a lot of them recommend you go to. Look at the Philippines at the bottom of the self-deletion rate, even amongst men, with all the poverty there, with all the tragedies and things that happens there, with all the lack of the welfare system there. in spite of that, has one of the lowest self-deletion rates amongst women. So think about that. So are we really making these women unhappy? If anything, we're only adding to their happiness because we can bring them to supposedly the 19th happiest country in the world, the United States. So now they can come there with their culture. We can build a nice family together. They can they can keep their culture intact, and now they have lots and lots of options, and better welfare state, less corruption. Some of the other things that they said makes a country a happy country, such as what was the things? We supposedly we have generous people here. We got people on Skid Row, but yeah, higher life expectancy, more social programs, better GDP, that kind of thing. So we can bring the women here and actually making them even more happy. So that completely debunks this whole talking point. I want to end on that. So tell me what you think in the comment section. Leave your comments, subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell. Please tell me what you think in the comments. And until next time, this is your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, signing off.